Hi everyone, Mike here from Comp3 Interactive. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at creating a scalable modal. Now if you don't already know, a modal is basically just a pop-up on screen like this. And our aim is to amend the height of this to match the content inside. So I'll show you what I mean in this quick little example. We see I've just got some lorem ipsum here, but that'll change when I hit this new message button. So we get a brand new message and a modal as actually rescaled to match the content. Do it again and we get a new one. And I should have 3 messages in there. Yeah, short one as well. And just pressing our button hides our modal, and if we get that, pops it back up again. Simple stuff, but it looks really good. Now the UI pack that I've used for this is one that I've actually created myself and is available free on my itch page. So I'll put a link to this in the description below. Feel free to download it, mess about with it, put it in your games, do whatever you want with it. It's yours. So the only thing left to do now is delete everything and we'll rebuild it and I'll show you how to do it. But first of all, I'd just like to thank Gigatank3000 for sponsoring this video. The links are down in the description. Go follow him on Twitter. Check out the website for more information on any games they have in development. Okay, so a lot of this is just going to be setting up UI elements. So I'll talk you through each individual one in detail. So first of all, obviously, we're going to need a canvas because we're dealing with UI. So we'll go ahead and add one in. Now the only thing that we need to change on this is we need to change our canvas scaler's UI scale mode to scale with screen size. All that's going to do, that's going to make sure that all your UI elements scale correctly dependent on the resolution of the target device. Next we need to add an image which is going to serve as the background for our modal. And I've gone ahead and I've imported 3 sprites. And the only thing that I've gone ahead and done is I've gone into the sprite editor and I've sliced them up in the respective ways. Now if you wanted a little bit more information on that, I do have a video already on my channel about perfectly scaling UI elements. So if you don't really know about this, that could come in handy for you. So we'll just drag and drop this panel into our source image. And there we go. So now this is where we do a little bit of setting up. We're going to need to add a few components to this image. The first one is going to be a vertical layout group. And what a vertical layout group is going to do is it's going to stack all the child objects inside of this image one on top of each other vertically. Now there is a horizontal group layout which, as you may have guessed, will stack everything horizontally, but we don't want that. We want everything going top to bottom. And for now, the only things that we need to change in here, we'll set our child alignment to middle center, so all the child objects emanate from the center of this object. And we also want this object to be able to control child size height, so we'll check that. And we'll leave child force expand width and height as they are. Next we need to add one final component. That's going to be a content size fitter. Now because we only want this modal to increase in size or decrease in size vertically, we'll set our horizontal fit to be a minimum size. And that's going to make sure the width of this object never changes. But our vertical fit, we want to use a preferred size. Now the preferred size is generated based on what the child object is or objects. So the more you have in there, the higher that number is going to be. So we want to scale vertically based on that value. So that's about all we need for now in this. We'll just rename this to modal window, and then we'll go ahead and we'll add our body text in. So we'll use text mesh pro, rename this to body, and we're going to need to add one more component to this, and that's going to be a layout element. Now this is where we can define our minimum height and our minimum width. So we'll go ahead and check both minimum height and minimum width. Our minimum width is going to be 700 and our minimum height is going to be 50. Now we can just go up and change our body text width to be 700 for now. Maybe 700's a bit too much, maybe 500, yeah, that'll do. So we'll set that to 500 down in our min width as well. Now as you can see, it's looking okay, but our text is outside of our window. So the way that we can fix that, if we jump back over to our modal window, we can affect the positioning of our child elements based on the padding values. So if we take a look, we can see if we move this padding left, our window expands to fit our text. So I've gone ahead and I've worked out what all my paddings are going to be. All you need to do for that is mess about with them as sliders. But for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in 50 on the left, 50 on the right, 75 on top, and 75 on the bottom. And now, as you can see, everything is completely centered inside of our modal window. And we can actually see this working already. If we just copy this text and repeat, we see that our window actually expands to fit that in. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to take my font size down to about 20 points. And we'll just take that text back to its original for now. But we don't only need one child object. What we can go ahead and do now, we can create a header. So if we add another Text Mesh Pro element in, we can see it appears and it automatically aligns itself vertically. So we can align this to the center and again to the center. And what's good about using this is if we change the order of these in the hierarchy, we actually change the order in our window. So we'll take our header and put it above our body, and we see automatically it snaps in place. So we'll call that header, and we'll just give that a header text. Now, as you can see as well here, the alignment is perfect. So the extreme bottom of the header text element and top of the body text element are actually touching each other. Now, if you want to add a little bit more spacing in between that, we can use the spacing parameter for our vertical layout group. We can just expand that a little bit and you see everything's growing and we're getting a little bit of space in between our header and our text. And for one final thing, what we're going to go and do is we're going to add in a button just at the bottom here. So we'll select Button Text Mesh Pro, and as you can see it starts stretching or squashing our element. But that's okay, that'll fix in just a second. So we drag our default rounded button into the source image, we see that it pops into place, but now it's a little bit too big. So what we can go ahead and do, we'll just scale this out a little bit so it's slightly wider, but then for the height, because our height is being controlled by the parent object, we can't actually drag that. So what we've got to go ahead and do, we've got to add in another layout element on our button. We'll set a preferred height this time, and we'll set that to 50. And we'll change that button text to be white. So now we have our modal window completed. We can add in as much text as we like here, and our window will stretch to match it. The last thing we're going to need is an actual modal controller script, so we can actually display this and hide it as and when we want. So we'll create a new C# script, call that Modal Manager, and we'll open this up in Visual Studio. Now this is just going to be a really basic setup. We've done this before. So we're going to be using Text Mesh Pro. We're not going to need the two system namespaces. We're going to need a public game object, and that's going to be our actual modal window. We're going to need a public Text Mesh Pro UGUI for our header. We're going to need a public Text Mesh Pro UGUI for our body text. And we're also going to make this a singleton so we can just call this easily from anywhere in our project. So that'll be a public static modal manager called instance. In our awake method, we'll check if instance is equal to null. We'll set instance equal to this, or else we'll just destroy the game object. And I do have a tutorial that goes into a lot more detail on singletons if you want to actually learn a little bit more about that, but this is just your basic construct. And inside here we're just going to want two methods. We're going to want a public void show modal, and that's going to take in a string for the header that we want to display, and it's also going to take in a string for the body text that we want to display. And inside here, really simple, we're going to set this dot header dot text equal to header. This dot body dot text equal to body, and then we'll set the modal window set active, true. So that's just going to populate everything on screen that we want and then turn on that game object. And then finally public void hide modal, we just set that to false. Simple stuff. So now let's go and hook all this up inside Unity. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this modal over to the right a little bit so I can add something down this left side. Now on our canvas we'll drag in our modal manager, drag our modal window into the modal window, our header into the header, and our body into the body. Now if we quickly create one more button outside of our modal, so this has nothing to do with the modal itself, and this is just going to get us a new message whenever we press it. Now I've already gone and I've created a tester script here, and it's just going to pick one of 3 messages to display using modal manager .instance.show modal. We'll pass in modal header as the header and then a random message for the body text. So we'll throw that tester script onto our new button, link that button up with its onClick event to get a new message. And then the last thing that we can go ahead and do is we can select our button on our modal, which we'll just rename to close, drag in our canvas object and select from our modal manager hide modal. We go ahead and save that, press play, we should see this all working perfectly. So first of all, we can close our modal, which gets rid of it completely, but leaves it down here in the hierarchy just so we can call on it whenever we like. Now when we click new message, we see we get our modal header, kill enemies to gain XP, and the close button which still works, and we can do this as many times as we like. Now if our modal is already active, we can still use this and it'll just overwrite the text that's in there. And as you can see, this window's sizing perfectly to match its content. And you could take this one step further, you could animate this modal so it flies in from the left or right, top or bottom, however you want to do it. This is just your bog standard implementation. And in case you don't want that header wrapping, one final thing, we can change the width on this to whatever we want. So I hope this has been useful for you. I hope to see this in some of your games. Like I said, this UI pack, completely free, links in the description. If you do use it, let me know. I'd love to see it in action. But that's all I've got for you now, so I'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more bite-sized Unity hints and tips.